And before we get started, I noticed that most people are muted, and that's okay. I'm sure you know how to unmute yourself. If you'd rather not leave your microphone on, you may or may not know that with Zoom you can hold down the space bar, and it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. As long as you're holding down the space bar, you can talk. And when you let go of the space bar, you're muted again. So if you prefer to be in that mode, you have to mute yourself, and then you can use the space bar to come in and out as you wish. But since we've been doing these things, that people have not been rude, people have given everyone a chance to speak, and so we'll just see how it works out. I'm Don Menges from
Hi, Don.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
all?
Don.
Good.
There's a bunch of other folks from the gallery: John Solberg, Dick Bennett, Sheridan's there, Carl's around somewhere. Luann will probably pop in at some point, and hopefully Gil. But back in I think February was the last show that Image City had in person, and then we were ready to do the student show in March, which we decided because of COVID, it wasn't right to open up the gallery. So we actually had all the photographs for the student show ready to go, and we did the whole thing virtually, and the schools were pretty happy with. We did. Carl was behind a lot of that. Sheridan was behind a lot of that, but we did a really nice job, I think, doing a virtual high school show. But we also Dick and Carl both forgave their shows. So we had no shows to the gallery for March, April, and May, and we kicked off again in June. So during that time, and because I like to mess around on my computer and work on web pages and stuff, I created this photo challenge, this weekly photo challenge. Many of you participated in that, but I would put up a challenge, and I would give people a week to come up with some photos, enter some photos. There were probably, in the very first one that we did, there were probably, I think, 80 to 85 people that did it, and it knocked my socks off. I thought maybe we'd have a couple of dozen and that'd be it. But pretty consistently, week by week, we went through 12 weeks of challenges, and each time the gallery partners would get together and look at all the entries, and we'd select what we felt were the top 2, 3, or 4 images in that challenge, and we would post the winners online. So if you're interested in seeing, they're all still up there. It's icpgphotochallenge.com. You can still go up and see all the challenges that we're in. So Gil came up with this idea that we should ask anybody who partook in any of the challenges, whether they were one of the winners or not, if they would like to have some work put on the gallery walls during the month of September. So that's what's on the walls right now. This is our challenge wall show. Let me just give you a couple of, I'm going to share my screen. Give me a sec. And I don't know if these people are here or not, but Gil and I picked out a few that we liked. And so we're just going to show a few of them. 52 people sent in images. If you haven't been to the gallery to see them, you should go down and take a look. They're all really nice. And these are some of the ones that we liked a lot. Is Bob Clemens online? That's too bad. You might know that or recognize that this particular photograph is a film shot taken in 1952 or 53, I think, in New York City. I think this was one of the entrants in the black and white challenge, but it was one that we liked a lot, and so we decided to show that one tonight. Here's another one. That's on the walls now at the gallery. This is one that we also liked a lot. This is done by a guy that shows at our gallery a lot, but he also entered several of the challenges. Chip Evra did this photo, and I forgot the story behind it or where it was taken, but it was pretty dramatic, so it kind of caught our eye. All of these, I said, are on the wall. This is Bob Keller's, right? Hang on a second. Boris Keller's. This is Boris Keller's photo. Boris was one of those guys that we found who came to some of our Image City critique groups early on when we had them, and he's meticulous about how he works on his images and he post-processes them. But this is, I think, a really great street shot, a lot of geometry in it, and it was a favorite, one of ours. So I don't know if Boris is here, maybe not. You know, we pick out 52. We're never really sure who's going to be able to show, so we just picked a handful and decided to show those. This was one of the winners in the red challenge. I think there were 4 winners in the red challenge. I think this is Paul Shu. Is Paul online? No? Okay. So this was one of the, you know, they came in all different shapes and sizes, some square, some 2x3s, 4x5s, and this one I think is like a 1x2. And this one is one of my favorites, and I think Michelle is online. Aren't you, Michelle?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. So, Michelle, tell us about this. I forgot what category this was entered in.
This was in the Windows category.
Windows or transportation? Windows, I guess you're right.
No, this was Windows. Yeah, I had another winner in transportation, but this was Windows.
Talk about this photo. I think it's really great.
This was taken on the Stockholm to Helsinki night ferry. We had just left Stockholm late in the afternoon, you know, heading towards sunset. And this was one of the windows that faced onto the deck. And obviously with all the salt water was somewhat pockmarked and, you know, swirly a little bit. And you could see the deck below. The people were walking on the deck below. So I just stood there and kept photographing all the different silhouettes that walked through and were reflected in the window. And I thought the light was fascinating, as well as the silhouettes. I really liked this one.
Yeah, one of my favorites in the whole show. And when you walk in the gallery, sometimes it's easy to walk right past the first couple of photographs that are on the wall. This is the very first photograph on the wall. So when you walk in the door, stop and turn left. That's where it is. And check it out. This is really good, and I think it would look really good, even big, really big. Yeah. But what's interesting about it is there's so many things playing around in the corners, and every inch of this this photograph has got information that's interesting, and you want to keep looking at it. So I think that works out really well. All right, we'll move on then. If unless somebody has a question they might want to ask about any of the ones you saw. Okay. No. I do have a method to my madness. Dick Beery's around, I think, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. So Dick is, we don't often overlap our visiting artists. We have a visiting artist series. Hang on one second while I get this back up. And go to this shot. So Dick I think, Dick, this is your last visiting artist show, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I've been this is my 3rd month.
Okay.
And I've done something different every month, and this time I decided that I'd work on a project that I've been wanting to work on for quite a while. After walking around, I've only been in Rochester since 2013, and the traffic light control boxes are very decorated, very painted up. So I think I got close to 40 of them by the time I was done during the month of August. Wow. And it's an ongoing project. The paint has not been retouched in the photos. And so I just decided to do that. And I have a collage of a bunch of them in my display. And then I have some that are larger. And this is one that I picked out early on when they needed a publicity photo. And this is like my granddaughter's favorite because it's a cat. And it's very near to me here. So I've labeled them in the show by the intersection that they're at. And this one is at Winton and Gale Terrace. So right across from CBS.
Okay. Dick has a panel with a lot of these interesting paintings on them. You might have seen some of them yourself as you've driven around, but there are a lot. So I'm sure it was difficult to pick out the ones that you liked the best.
So, yeah, and you're right. I did overlap because I do have one in the show from the challenge also.
On the wall, challenge wall.
Yeah, it was it was my Bridges photo in the Bridges category.
Okay, thank you very much. I was saying that we have 4 visiting artists during the year. They each of them show for 3 shows in a row. Um, this is the one show that happens where they overlap. The other one, the other visiting artist that's showing with us right now is Laura Connect. I don't know if Laura is online. Is she with us? No. Okay. This photo was shot at the Buffalo Insane Asylum. But it's called Buffalo, New York Asylum for the Insane. That's its official name. And I asked her why she called it, because it's actually known now as, oh shoot, anybody help me out with it? It's in Buffalo.
The Henry Hotel.
It's the what?
The Henry Hotel.
Yeah, but that's not the name of the building. It's the the Richardson Olmsted Complex.
Yeah.
So what they did, if you saw the building from the air, it actually is a V shape, and the men's wing was on one side and the women's wing was on the other side, and in the middle was the administrative offices. Since then, this company Richardson bought the building, and they converted the middle into a very upscale restaurant and a hotel. So it's a pretty posh place to go, but the wings are still in their original state. This is the women's wing. I went there once myself, but we weren't allowed in the women's wing. We were in the men's wing, and it really wasn't as nice as this. She has a really nice collection of these photos from the women's wing of the Richardson complex. What I really liked about this, and since she's not here, I can speak about it a little bit. There's a lot of things that lead you down a hallway. The arches are replicated at the end. The red doors against the yellow are complement each other nice. There's great texture, a lot of geometry. All of that's the kind of stuff that I like. The window coming in, the light coming in from the side, spreading across the floor is really attractive. The little elements like the wheelchair popping out from the side on the left side, and the screen door. He's got even has the detail enough that you can see the ripped sections of the screen door. So all in all, pretty cool photograph. And she has a whole collection of these on her panel. So if you can stop down to the gallery, you should take a look at these. This one would happen to be my favorite of her collection. I wish she was here. She speaks eloquently about these things. Okay, the other after our visiting artists, the Neuberger Gallery is always a place that we like to have little demonstrations or small collections of work. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. The Neuberger Gallery right now is inhabited by Bruno Cellafor, and I know he's online. So Bruno, talk to us about this and the collection you put in the Neuberger Gallery.
Well, it was sort of a personal challenge. Gil had asked me in the spring whether I would be interested in showing in the East Gallery. I like the space because your work is self-contained, and I like to work in groups of images. I think the viewer gets a better idea of who's behind the images. And so I decided once I came back, I spent the summer in France, and once I came back, I decided to show some of the work I had done over there. Flying over there, I had to stay 2 weeks quarantine in my home village, which is right in the center of France. And then after that, the first day at the end of the quarantine, I decided I would go out every day, take a walk, just to go down to the village, get my baguette and my newspaper, and then take a different path every time and photograph every day. So I have a pretty, big collection of images as a result. So it was quite a challenge to compress that into the space of the East Gallery. So I decided to show 8 images. I used what had been a sort of central theme in my work regarding that particular village in the past, which is the river where as a kid I used to play. So I have 2 big prints of that, and then opposite 2 smaller prints. They are more or less the 4 cardinal points in the gallery. And then in between, there are images of the village itself. And the way it is now, very different from what I mean, not very different, but quite different from what it used to be. And I think the most emblematic image is that particular one. This was my schoolyard, but also my parents being teachers. Basically, that was my playground. And there was a lawn, there were about 8 or 10 trees, and that's all that is left of it. The school just grew, so they built more buildings, and they didn't have space around the school, so they encroached upon the schoolyard, which is now very limited. So for me, that trees is basically all that's left of my childhood. And at the same time, there's a sign of the times on the left, because those colored dots on the ground have been added in May because of COVID and social distancing for the pupils there. So there's a combination of past and present that are colliding in this image. Something that the British photographer Simon Norfolk called chronotopia, where there's different times that can be seen in one space at the same time.
That's great. Thank you, Bruno.
Wow.
Bruno is really accomplished photographer that puts stories together with his photography. And what you see if you go to the Neuberger Gallery is just a small collection of his walks for 3 weeks. So Bruno, have you made a book out of all those walks? Is that what you're intending to do?
Not yet, but yes, probably yes.
Okay.
And one of the challenges is, it is usually I have a tendency to work more in black and white, but it was obvious for this particular image that I couldn't, I have a black and white version of it, but then you lose the color dots and you lose the green of the tree, so it doesn't really work. So one of the challenges that I sort of put out for myself was to combine something I usually advise not to do, was to combine black and white images and color images. And doing that in 12 images was quite a challenge, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So if ever you're interested in how to put a exhibit together or make a book, or they're all different, and how you stage them and where you leave blank pages and what you incorporate and what you leave out and what works well next to one another. Bruno is the master of doing that. So if you ever get a chance to talk to him, I'm sure he shares some of that wisdom with you. Thank you, Bruno.
Well, just one thing. What I did for this is I asked Gil for a plan of the gallery, and then I made a model. And then I made at scale model of my images. And then I worked with them for some time, let them on the table so that I could think about, how I was doing, getting back to them on the morning. It took me about 3 days. And then finally I came up with what's on the walls.
Yeah, that sequence. Yep. It's important. What photo goes next to what photo. So if you have a chance to go down and look in the Neuberger Gallery, I think you'll enjoy how Bruno put this together. John Metallic is not with us. John was, I don't know much about his history. I know he's a photographer from RIT. And this series that he put up, he combines all of his photographs with little verbiage. I want to say it's poetic. I guess it is in a certain sense. Sorry, I thought somebody said something. Okay, so they're very interesting. And again, if you can stop down to the gallery, these are on the east wall by the gallery desk. Interesting to look at them. I think you'll identify personally with them as well. On the other wall, the west wall, is Julie Oldfield, and Julie's here, I think, right?
I am here.
Good. Can you talk about that one? I think we recognize that.
Yeah, I know it. Oh, I didn't mean to have my signature on the bottom like that. I think that's not in the photo in the gallery.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize that was there. Yeah, it's just, I was walking around downtown and I saw this. I just like to walk around downtown, and I just took that picture, and I like the lighting on it, so that's why I decided to show that.
It's great. Did you take it from the parking garage?
No, I was on the sidewalk down below.
Really? You must have had a pretty long lens to reach up there.
Well, yeah, and I also changed the perspective in Photoshop.
Oh, so. Okay. So you must have truncated some of it off the bottom, maybe.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So cool. When I was just a short little story, when I was a kid, my parents told me that those were rabbit ears, not wings. So I always refer, and when I, as an adult, I told somebody once about the building with the rabbit ears on it, and they go, "What are you talking about?" So I didn't know till I was about 30 that those actually were wings and not. The other thing that's interesting about them is that what you can't see in these photos, there are little loops at the top. These are made out of aluminum, and they were put in with a crane one at a time. They're set into place.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I walk around downtown a lot too, but I also try to figure out where those things came from. But thank you, Julie. Julie's been showing with us many times in the past, and her work is always good. So stop in and see Julie's stuff. Let's see, who else do I have here? Luann, Gil. I guess we're left with partners. Oh, Adam. Adam's here. Adam, you're online, aren't you? Well, Mr. Adam.
Yes, I am. There we go.
There you go. That's all right. I know you were muted probably. Talk to us about the Adam. You've never shown before, have you?
I have not. This is my first time showing.
Adam has an interesting group of pictures. Talk to us about this one and what you were trying to do with this.
So I find myself like usually focused on water and reflections more often than not. They seem to be something I end up fixating on. I tend to like taking photos along the canal, towards Pittsford area anyway. So a lot of the time, like in the village or along the canal path between there and like say Bushnell Basin, that area. And so a couple of the photos I'm showing are basically taken in that same exact area, but this one was one where I went with a friend of mine to just take photos for an evening, and sun was setting, and I just noticed that the reflection was quite nice to capture both the sunset behind the trees, but have it reflecting through the water as well, which I just like the way it layers between that and the kind of ripples that the water actually has, and all of the texture that it creates, and kind of the distorted format of it, that is like the distorting of life in that way. And yeah.
So that's all reflection.
Yeah. So it's just a reflection off the canal of trees on the other side.
Yeah, great. Thank you for speaking about that. And you can see his favor for water when you come in, you stop into the gallery and look at the rest of his collection. Thank you, Adam. Luann's not either. I'll show you, let's see, I'll show you what Luann is currently showing. Maybe I will. Luann is into this project right now where she's interested in things that move. So obviously here the water's moving, but she also has taken some shots where she moves her camera. So she creates movement regardless of what she's trying to show it. This is one of the ones that I thought she would talk about, but apparently she couldn't make it tonight. And I think I have one I can show you of mine. Here it is. So this is in the gallery. It's printed on metal, and I like to work on projects. So this was a project that I did with my mannequin. Her name's Anna. I didn't name her that. That's what she was when I bought her. So it's nothing personal. John still online? John Solberg and I took this mannequin to Boulder Coffee. That shot was in Boulder Coffee. And we held up a piece of frosted plexiglass in front of her face to see what kind of effects we would get with different kinds of light. So you can see the lights coming from the left. Those are from the Clinton Avenue side of Boulder Coffee. And she's sitting on a yellow chair. And there's a pinkish kind of chair next to it. So you can see that the frosted plexiglass gives it that strange kind of mystical look. And what's the other thing that's interesting about this is that when I originally made this, I didn't like the right-hand side because it was there was a doorway there. So I actually cropped this to a 4x5. This piece over here on the far right, where you see the roundness of the yellow here, this piece didn't exist. So when I was trying to pair this with another image, it was suggested that I make it a 2x3 instead of a 4x5. So I used a thing in Photoshop that I'd never tried before. I cropped a 4x5 into a 2x3, and when I did that, it added extra space over here that was empty, about maybe, I don't know if you can see my cursor there, but right about there to the right, that wasn't there because it was a 4x5. So I cropped it to a 2x3 and there was empty space over there. And there's a little checkbox at the top when you crop that says a content aware fill. So what it did is it picked up the yellows and the oranges from the existing part of the photograph and copied it to the right side. And it actually created this circular pattern that you see, or this curved pattern of yellow here. The computer did that. That was not part of the original photograph. So a lot of experimenting with this photo, but I liked it. I thought it turned out kind of fun. Thank you. And it's printed on metal, so that kind of looks neat too. Okay, well, I think that's everybody. I do want to bring up a couple of things. The next show at Image City is by David Bleich. David's had a show. I don't think he's online. I invited him, but I don't think he's here. David does a show every year, and he prints and he mounts them on plexiglass, and most of them are quite large. We'll probably fill the gallery with, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 images. Sheridan, you guess about that many? You're muted, bud. Didn't hear you.
You got to hold it a second. Yeah, I think he's got 13. So maybe we're not going to break our back on every one.
That's great. Yeah, they're pretty big, but they're interesting to see. So you should, if the next show starts October 6th. So you can, when you get a chance to stop down and see this one, maybe you can come back and see the other one. You might have also seen over the weekend, John and Gil and I crazily sitting out in front of the gallery with balloons flying around us, and we invited people to come down with their masks on and crazy hats if they had them. And we took photographs for 12 hours on Friday and Saturday of last week, and we were lucky enough to have photographs of 80 people. We were shooting for 100, but we got 80. And John we're going to put them in the Newberger Gallery. We're going to put all 8 of them on 8.5 by 11 pieces, each one on 8.5 by 11, and put all 80 of them on the wall. And John has taken just the faces and made one big photograph, so it kind of looks like what you see in our Zoom meeting right here, but 80 people. And it's going to be a very large print, framed large print of all 80 people, with the theme of we're in this together, kind of a COVID remembrance thing. So hopefully we don't ever have one of these again in our lifetime. We can look back on it and kind of make fun of it a little bit. The last thing is Image City has a critique group that meets on the first Wednesday of each month. I know Lou is part of that.
Yes.
I don't know other people are. He's the one I recognize that's here tonight. Oh no, Nick Jospy's here. He's been part of them. And you're welcome to come down. It's free, doesn't cost anything. We have assignments though, so if you would like to be part of the critique group, the idea is to get you out shooting. You can't go through your archives looking for a photograph that meets the criteria of the assignment. You have to take it in the month between the 2 meetings, and then we critique what you do. So this month's assignment is on using leading lines in your composition. So that would be what you would try to do. It doesn't matter what subject you use, is not important, but employing leading lines is what's important. And we meet, it's the first Wednesday of every month, so that would make the next one October 7th, I believe.
7th, yes.
So if you're interested in being part of that, send me an email. I'll put you on a list and give you some information. We do it online like this. We did the last one online like this. We picked up a few more people since then. So
It worked out better than I thought it would have done.
yeah, actually,
Doing it online.
well. I think Bruno might agree also that our Saturday morning salon meetings actually work out pretty well online, because when we usually get together physically, we have all these side conversations, and sometimes we get a photo that a few people might talk about, but when you're online and there's one photo up there and everybody's looking at it, you focus on that photo. So
Yeah, in that respect, yeah, it works very well.
yeah, it works well. All right, anybody got anything else they'd like to share? Well, I'm going to keep on working at these virtual receptions and try to get more people who are in the shows to come out, and we can make them even more interesting, I hope. But thanks for participating, folks. Anybody have anything they want to share before we leave?
Yeah, thank you, Don, for doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good night, all. Colder weather's coming. Stay warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Don.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.